So yeah, we kind of want to turn towards the north side of Chicago. There's a bit of news. It's a little bit old now again, since again we didn't do a podcast last week. But Jason McLeod, the senior vice president of player personnel, I believe is his final title with the Cubs, as he announced that, or it was revealed that he will be leaving the Cubs. And it was kind of strange how it was announced, and at least maybe I just didn't understand it, or maybe it was purposely a little nebulous, but it wasn't really talked about whether he was quitting or if he was being fired or what was going on. But his time will end and on the north side. So Jason is kind of a like a shadow character almost. Like you didn't ever hear from him. He was the third part of the trilogy of Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer, and of course Jason McLeod. But you never saw his face much. You didn't see him in the news. He didn't interview much. That was probably by design, because I feel like he's been kind of a scapegoat for the failure of the Cubs, because he ran the player development throughout his tenure with the Cubs for the last 10 years. And people point to how the pitching has never been developed and point to his poor draft picks. And I felt like he was kind of the whipping boy. And that may have been by design. That might be why he was never in the media being interviewed or speaking much. So he's kind of, I guess he was just kind of a mysterious figure all along. He did recently, I guess you can't say he was demoted, since he was promoted to senior vice president of player personnel in the last 2 years, I believe. But he basically took away his responsibility for the draft, which I could see why. But he's
never a good sign.
He's also responsible for drafting Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, but also Albert Almora. You could say anyone could have drafted Chris Bryant, especially when they weren't even, if all truth be told, they were actually targeting Mark Appel with the number 2 pick that year, but Houston jumped them with the number 1 pick to get Mark Appel, who we've never heard from ever since. Pitching prospect that flamed out, but
could have used him.
Chris Bryant fell into the Cubs' lap, which we definitely used him, and that worked out quite well. So
yes,
it's kind of a mixed bag, I guess, with McLeod. So it's just interesting. The other part of that whole story was the timing of it was kind of curious, as we just heard days before that the Cubs hired new GM Carter Hawkins. So it made me think, did McLeod think he was supposed to be promoted to GM instead of Carter Hawkins? Did he just up and quit as soon as that happened? Or another speculation, did Carter Hawkins first day on the job say, we don't need this guy anymore, let's get him out? So it was just strange how it was reported and announced, and it seemed they tried to pass it off as a mutual parting of ways, much the same way as when Joe Madden left. That was like a hug fest when he was getting fired, essentially, and they were drinking wine together and thanking each other. And in subsequent years, you hear a little bit of acrimony coming from Joe's side and saying he never wanted to leave, and which you can't blame him. But so I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that was looking for conspiracy theories in that story, but it seemed a little odd to me, a tad askew, as you might say.
Yeah, I mean, when I read that he was going, I had to take a step back and remember who he was, because to your point,
Yeah.
he's
like Ringo Starr almost.
Yeah,
like
right.
Forgotten Beatle.
Kind of stayed out of the limelight. I think one of you, I don't know which one it is. I think one of your theories is correct, but I think maybe Carter Hawkins came in and said, yeah, he hit, to your point, he hit some on the button, but then he had a lot of swings and misses, and we need someone else, or we need something new in this position, or don't need it at all.
That's the thing.
I can oversee this area. That's not necessarily for
after you're removed from running the draft, like where do you go from there in a baseball organization? Like
Right.
what do you? I mean, maybe he was a lame duck from that moment on, and it just made the timing made sense. My final conspiracy theory is that the Cubs couldn't afford to pay his salary anymore after
Yeah.
hiring a GM and suffering
Oh
horrible
God.
losses.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So
Yes.
you've got to get rid of those senior VPs.
Yeah.
That'll look much better on the books.
Yep. I think you're right.
So I guess that's adios for Jason McLeod. I would say it's nice.
Eagle.
It was nice to know you, but I don't think anyone really knew you. So hopefully, hopefully that solves all the Cubs issues. We will be drafting incredibly from here on out under the tutelage of Carter Hawkins and his iron-fisted regime. We'll see. So